Hi, everybody. Welcome to Creative Process. I'm Reese McCormick. And today, our topic is going to be about dreaming. If you are dreaming, wondering, just considering what it would be like to have a career in the entertainment industry, then you are in luck because my guests can certainly speak to that. But before we do that, I'd like to talk about dreaming in general. Have you ever noticed that when you speak an intention out loud and you're very purposeful and you're very convicted about it, people come out of the woodwork to tell you how impossible it is, or to tell you at the very least that it's a bad idea and why don't you do this great idea that they have for you to do, which is probably very similar to a choice that maybe they made in their lives. So you might find yourself alone with your dream for a while, and that's okay. Today we're going to talk about the nuts and bolts about making it happen. So consider this: when you articulate your dream and things begin to shake and these voices start coming in, usually voices of people that love you, the closest people to you and care the most about you, who are probably worried about whatever it is that you're dreaming about doing. There is a trick that I do. I back out of the dream and I get into goal setting. And once you have some goals set and something concrete, a structure to hang on to, it's not so scary anymore. And the voices get a little quieter. And you back out of those goals and into the activities that are going to get you to your goals. And all of a sudden you find that you have a plan and you are on your way. So if you were thinking about the entertainment industry, then I have one of my favorite all-time KD students, Ms. Tiffany Sky Dodson, an actress who is with us here today, Mr. Michael Golderman, who is now also on the faculty at KD, a filmmaker who is partners with Mr. David Ryan. And that KD word keeps coming up. We're all connected. One of the things that I would like for you to take away today is to be able to put on your list your relationship capital. That's one of the first things that I think a person needs to think about when they want to make something happen. You need all kinds of capital to make something happen, but it certainly helps to know people and to make the best use of your relationship capital. So I'd like you to leave today with an idea of what the landscape is like in this industry and even a better idea of yourself in the landscape, being able to visualize with your checklist, is this really a good fit for me? So welcome to the show, guys. I am so happy to have you here.
Thank you.
And so let's start with, maybe what were you dreaming about individually, or where would you like to start to talk about your relationship in your company that you've, their production company that you've created, or who wants to go first?
I would say we're currently living our dreams. I know me personally, I've always wanted to make feature films. And last year, we just completed our first feature film.
Yeah.
Talk about it.
So I think for all of us, we've wanted to work in the industry ever since we were little. Mm-hmm. And we didn't have any outlets just through our normal lives then of how to get into the industry. So it didn't take until our early adulthood. And that's when we started meeting at KD in film school. And you're talking about relationships, and it's literally the most valuable thing that you could have. I mean, you could have all the money in the world, you could have all of the resources in the world, but the relationships is where it comes in. And that's how we ended up being able to make Retro Freaks, mm-hmm. because we were trying to do so much on our own for so long, and we were only able to accomplish shorter projects because we were kind of holding ourselves in. And then once we kind of expanded our friend group, yeah. and people that were interested in it as well, that's when we said, why don't we just keep pushing this project and make it a feature? So the feature started as a short film that we put out on YouTube, and that kind of got a good recognition, and we realized that people were into it. And with that short, our friendship circle grew, and then we made a feature with over 60 people, 26 of which are KD graduates, yeah. relationships that we
wow.
built throughout going there. Michael teaching there. So yeah.
So when you look back to the beginning, and you didn't have those relationships, how did you go about? Was it conscious on your part, or did it just fall into your lap?
It's a little bit of both, honestly. I remember even back when I was in film school, people would say you need a network. You always need a network, and I never really liked that term because I felt like that's just demeaning. You're using people as a resource or thinking of people strictly as a resource. And I've always thought, hey, we're building a relationship here. So whenever I meet somebody that I guess I feel like I could be a future collaborator with, I like to build a relationship first. And so that's kind of where it all started.
Yeah. And it's usually with filmmakers. So speaking as an actress,
Yeah.
how do you create relationships with the filmmakers that you want to hire you?
Yeah, so that's slightly different because filmmakers normally have a project that they already created and they're wanting to cast it. So all the actors, of course, are kind of like, hey, pick me. But for an actor, you're kind of waiting around doing auditions, waiting for people to hire you, so that way you can get into like a set and build those relationships. But for me, I would say I do my best like networking on set. So it's like, of course, when you're on set, I talk to everybody. I don't, it doesn't matter if they're actors, if they're on the crew.
That.
Yeah. And not like, I don't want to annoy anybody, but I try to I don't know. I just want to know what everybody's doing. Cause sometimes you'll meet somebody who's even on the crew and they're, they might be working as, on sound on this project, but they have another project that they want to produce and they need actors for that. And so you never know who's creating something and,
Right. So you're not bugging people like, what is that button for? And all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but how did you get onto the set? Was it just the luck of the audition? You just did 90 auditions and you got one and then you started networking?
You know what? I would say it. I remember the moment when I got an audition for this feature, and it was the first feature I'd ever done. And I think I found it on Backstage. And
good to know. Backstage, that's a resource.
Backstage is great. And I had auditioned and they said, oh, that was great, but we'd like you to read for another character. So then I did the other character and they're like, okay, we have another character we want you to read for. So then I read for that one and then I booked it. And it was the most exciting thing. And I had prepared so much for that scene. But it took a while, and it can be kind of disheartening at first, if you're like auditioning and you don't hear anything, you don't get anything. But the moment you finally do get, your project, that's all I need. I just need to be around people, and I will make sure I get another project, or I, build those relationships.
So, am I hearing you correctly that? I don't know. As an actor, I have always been kind of shy. I mean, when I got to set, I always felt like, oh, well, they're all family. The crew's been together forever. And I got one day on this movie and they're all from LA or they're all from Louisiana or whatever, And so I just kind of have kept to myself. So I probably could have had a much better career if I'd taken a page from your book and chatted people up. Do you find that, how do you feel like, do you think actors need to just like stay in your dressing room till we need you?
No, not at all. So I think like whenever we've casted a project, whether it was a short film, a commercial, or our feature film, we're looking at it from a few different standpoints. Not only is this person the best person to play that role, but do we want to be around that person over and over again? Right. And are they going to be reliable? Because we're making like everything that we do in narrative film work, storytelling, things that are coming from our brain, is very low budget or no budget. So we need to make sure that we have reliable people because there's no do-overs. We don't get a second chance. A lot of times we're taking off work from paid gigs in order to get shoots done, or we're spending money to have certain like special effects artists there or something. So it's like those are things that come into it. So when we meet people, when we have a good vibe going with them and we know that they're part of the team and they don't want to mess up everything that's going on, then that puts them up higher than somebody that may have way more on their resume. Yeah.
Well then, how can I find you? Say you're not currently casting anything, but I saw Retro Freaks and I love your vibe and I know it's such a good match. How do I get in touch with you?
You're in it. That's it. Done. Done. No, seriously. So that's kind of our mindset too with Retro Freaks and really anything that we do. There's always room for more. Yeah. Because all we have to do is extend it. I mean, it's our brain. We could rewrite. We could do whatever we want. It's our stories. It's the entire cast and crew story. So the way that we made Retro Freaks is if you want to play in it, then here's the days that we're doing what. Can you make your schedule available in order to be there? And we've wanted to work with you specifically for a very long time. We've written characters for you. We probably have hard drives.
Me?
Yeah, you. So we've
Okay, stop the cameras. Okay, no, wait. All right,
Yeah.
we can talk
You
about
got
this
that on
later.
tape.
Yeah.
We can
But-
talk about it later.
No, but like, so here's another thing that a lot of people don't know is that there's different degrees of filmmaking. You're making independent film, you're making a union film. So that was one of the things that always held us back from working with you because we didn't understand the process. We didn't understand the different, like levels of union that you could enter into in order to work with SAG actors. And we figured it out on this one. So
Good.
which is awesome because now we have that resource in our pocket, and now we've just again opened up our friend circle.
Yeah.
Like we've
Excellent.
opened up the amount of people that we're able to include in the project.
Excellent. You mentioned a minute ago taking time off from your paid gigs. Talk about your paid gigs. What
Yep.
is? You have a day job, of film life?
I mean, you want to go first? Because
That's pretty much all I do is corporate editing gigs, corporate director of photography gigs, things of that nature.
How did you get trained for that?
Kind of in the field, honestly.
We definitely were winging it.
Yeah, so
We were putting out things on Craigslist. We were
It was
like,
rough.
hey, anybody
In the
need anything?
beginning, yeah.
I love it.
and it's weird because our background at KD, we were taught narrative filmmaking,
Mhm.
Which is, for our viewers, what does that mean?
like making a movie, right?
Okay. Storytelling.
Yeah.
Storytelling, right? And everything is storytelling, but we took that same approach to filmmaking to commercials or industrial work, and we quickly realized that's not how you produce those types of projects. It's a little bit less creative, unfortunately, but it does pay the bills,
Uh-huh.
keeps the lights on,
And,
it allows us to
it's a
do other
huge
things.
help to the people that you're serving in the corporate world.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. You were talking about the levels of different kinds of movies. I happen to know that you were good buddies with Jordan
Yes.
Ross, who is the star of episode 2
Yeah.
of Creative Process. And so, talk about connecting with other actors and how that particular relationship has
Sure.
helped you.
Yeah, so with Jordan, we actually met. I had just graduated from KD, and to make my income, I had started working at KD with Jordan, and we were both kind of in the same boat. We were auditioning like crazy. We weren't really booking anything. We got at a really low point, and then finally he got the audition for The Chosen, which just so happened to be held at KD, which is just still wild. But anyways, he's preparing for this audition. He goes in and he's like, I don't think I'm going to get it. It's just the vibes are kind of weird. And I was like, okay, Then he booked it. And now he had, like, his career just skyrocketed. He was in Black Panther, the new one. He was in, what was it, 1883?
Mhm.
I mean, he's just been doing so many things. So now he's at this different level it's just his career. And so I had a phone conversation with him, and he's just kind of explaining how it is. And it's similar, but it's the level that he's at now. He brought so much insight onto like what to expect, and also Jordan is like one of the most motivated people that I know. So he is constantly reaching out to casting directors, producers, just to get his name out there. But
Okay, so put that on your list
Yeah.
if you're thinking about, how do I network? What have we covered so far? Being reliable,
Mhm.
you said. Not being afraid to speak up on set and do your networking.
yes,
What else? There was a third thing about.
Day jobs.
Oh well, it'll come to
Can
me.
I add one?
Yeah.
I guess not being afraid of rejection.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
you've got to
It's
really
so
use that
important.
muscle.
We are all very self-conscious, I think, working in the arts.
Mhm.
We have a lot of self-awareness, and sometimes that works against us, and it's easy to compare yourself to others. But I mean, just
But
do
have
what you love.
and have a person that you could vent with that with.
Yeah.
Like it's okay
understands.
to get angry about things that didn't work out. It's okay when things don't go the way that you imagined them when you were building them, because we're always shooting as high as we could go. Like
Yeah.
even with whatever we do, like this is gonna be the big thing. This is it, And if it isn't that route, you surround yourself with people that also get it,
Yeah.
and you vent with them, but you don't let it carry out.
Tear you down.
Yeah, you don't let it tear you down and
Yeah.
make you stop doing it. But you got to get it out somewhere, man.
Yeah.
We've spent many a nights on the phone, just kind of like from like a phone call that may start at 9 p.m. and end at 3 a.m. Just like circling back, like
Yeah.
Mhm.
And there's
probably like psychos. But what are you
Yeah,
gonna
I mean,
do?
there's been so
It's our
many times
creative
too.
process.
There's so many jobs in Austin, and so you'll drive to Austin, which is like a 3-hour drive. You'll be in the audition room for 5 minutes, and then you'll leave. And I remember there was this one audition, I wanted it so bad, and maybe that was my downfall, because I mean, I wanted this character so bad, and you had to cry in the scene. And I'm not one of those actors who can just like cry on command. But I go in there and I could not do it. I could not get to that point. But when I got to my car, I was crying. I was like, I called Michael and I was like, I'm not going to get it. I did awful in that audition room. I didn't get it, but it's okay. Because, you just got to have thick skin. It's like, you're not going to get everything.
Right.
Yeah.
What can a person do to you guys are so generous and you got so much energy and you're so inclusive. What can a person do to disinclude themselves? What would an actor do to really piss you off? Or another filmmaker, another person on set, a PA or
Yeah, I guess to answer that question, I'll kind of say what I like in people, I guess.
Okay.
So I think there's this misconception that the creative process or creating art is one that sometimes is pretty miserable, I guess. You hear like the tortured artist, right? I know our approach is very different from that. We like to surround ourselves with people that we just like being around, period. And I think from that, we can create better stories. So if we feel like the vibes on our set are good, we're obviously going to take care of things on the filmmaking, side. So if the vibes are good, then ultimately we feel like that energy will translate to the screen.
We will shut down a day if the vibe is not right. The vibe is 1,000% it. No matter how many shots we got off for that day or what was planned for that day, we will literally shut it down if the vibe is just not there for whatever reason. And we definitely surround ourselves with people that are good mixes with other people.
Yeah.
So you have to be able to get along.
Put that on your list.
Yeah, and if you're not, then if you don't want to be there, like it's all about like everyone. We want people to be involved. That's why our community is growing, and we want people that want to be there.
Yeah.
Because that's why we're doing it.
So it's not who you know; it's who knows you and likes you.
Yeah,
basically.
Yeah, and and I guess like how you carry yourself, like. Yeah, some days are longer. Some shots take a long time to get. You may be waiting for a while, but at the end of the day, do something positive with that time. Hang out, get to know people.
Put patience on your list.
I mean, especially on a long form project like a feature, I'm not sure how many hours we spent together on set, but if you're surrounded by people you don't like, that's not going to be a fun experience.
No.
Yeah.
I love the world you live in, and I come from an era when, the network was the power or the studio was the power. You live in indie world, and you can just go, we're shutting it down. We don't like the vibe. Yeah. I mean, this is really, it's very freeing for you to have all that, we'll expand, we'll contract, we do whatever we want. We don't have, MGM breathing down our necks.
Yeah.
You're not hamstrung like Cecil B. DeMille was. I love this. Have you ever heard the expression that indie film is like the theater of the film world?
Yeah, I have heard that before. Actually.
Talk about that. I think that's really, would Retro Freaks have been possible in any other universe?
No.
It's like yeah.
Yeah.
Also, the process of making the movie is kind of insane. David alluded to it a little bit. It did start as a short. And
we didn't know we were making a feature film until we were nearly done making a feature film.
Precisely.
So that's one of the most interesting parts about Retro Freaks is like we made this short and people liked the short, and then it was like, okay, well, this short kind of starts in the middle of a story. So it's like, what happened the day before?
Yeah.
When did Tiffany's character works at this horror collectible toy shop, right? And we start in the short Last Haul of My Life on YouTube. It's on Not Another Retro channel. So if anyone wanted to check that out, they could hop on over there right now.
Say it again.
Not Another Retro channel.
Okay.
And the short film's title is Last Haul of My Life.
Yeah.
So that starts with her already being possessed by this demon that we've created. And when we released that, it was like, well, how did she get possessed? I wonder what that would look like. And we really only did it because we had such a good time hanging out with everybody on set.
Yeah.
And you loved do your face. Do your face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, we kind of talked about before, we want to use our time wisely, but we like hanging out. Yeah. I have 3 kids, a very, very supportive wife that helps me write, helps me kind of flush out ideas and stuff like that. But we're at a point in our lives where if we're hanging out with our friends, it's like, why not be productive at the same time? There's plenty of other things that we could probably do, but let's be productive and hang out. So we wrote a scene that took place before Last Haul of My Life, and we started shooting that. and then I had my little girl. So that put a slowdown on the momentum that we were gaining with our shorts, and it was like, all right, well, let's just save it, and let's see what happens after Last Haul of My Life, and we'll do that. So we started filming all of these different scenes and piecing them together, and mind you, no one in the crew, really outside of us and Brady and some of the other producers on the movie, knew what we were doing at all, because people come and go in this movie, right? So then we just booked a theater and set a premiere date without even
It was the Texas theater, wasn't
yeah,
it?
we booked a 600 seater because we shoot for the stars, right? So we booked a 600 seater without even having half of the movie done. We put a date to it because we're like, we're not going to finish this movie unless like we have outside pressure. So we didn't have a studio. We're shutting down days if we weren't feeling it, you know? So we put outside pressure on ourselves, and that's when we kind of were like, we got a feature and we got to finish it. And we shot the last scene like 3 days before the premiere.
I know people who went to the premiere. And the premiere was fun. And it was good.
It was wild.
High energy, yeah.
And just to like put that into perspective, we within 9 months roughly, we completed a feature film in 9 months. We never at one moment, I guess until the last day, had a completed script, because we were just making it up as we went along, and it was all out of order. And so
and who wanted to hang out?
An editor's nightmare.
No,
it was.
I mean, it was tough, but it was the best too, because we did like 90. So Michael's our editor, but we sat. I have a toy store in Garland as well. So kind of what we're talking about is like, what do you do to pay bills? It's like I have 13,000 side hustles, right? Because it allows my flexibility to do things. So if I'm kind of controlling that aspect of my life, then I could open myself up to do the film work, right? But we would just go there every night or the night after filming a scene and just edit that scene, glue it to the piece before. You know?
And mind you, they're doing this until, whatever time in the morning.
3 in the morning.
Yeah.
And then they also are going to their day jobs right after.
Yeah, so we might be...
So put that on your list. If you're making your checklist of the questions you want to ask yourself, am I willing to live that kind of lifestyle to make this happen?
Yeah.
Do we have a trailer, Sarah? Can we watch the trailer from Retro Freaks? We've talked about it so much.
Oh, hell no.
The demon Princess Acula has been tormenting Earth since the dawn of mankind.
If anything, she's gonna murder you first.
Her evil supersedes the very Earth as we know it.
I don't know if I can do this. What, are you scared?
Oh, you two guys have no idea what's been unleashed on this Earth.
We gotta do something about whatever this thing is. If not, it's gonna kill a lot more people.
Dude, we are totally screwed.
Everyone, remain calm. Do not freak out.
I am an agent of the Lord.
That sounds dope. Is this demon a babe or what?
What? The demon princess Acula is a bad thing.
Okay, I saw a ton of familiar faces in that. That was so fun. That was really fun.
So, the movie, like again, we were incorporating anybody that wanted to play ball, and it was like Douglas Garcia, Blake McNamara, like they were kind of musts. Once we realized that we were in the middle of making a feature film, they have done so many wacky, weird projects that never seen the light of day type thing with us that was like, well, they need to.
So Blake was the guy with the cross.
Yeah.
And Douglas was the guy with the blood. And plus we saw so many other, and I love your sense of humor in all of that. Barney was in the back of one of the guys.
So
I was in Barney.
I want to.
So silly.
I'm so happy you said that because it allows me to bring up one thing. The narration, the person that's talking in the beginning, that's kind of like carrying us through that trailer, and then we see him in it. That's Josh Martin, and he actually donned the Barney
Josh
costume.
left KD, I think, to go take the Barney job. He saw the world. He went to Japan in the Barney suit, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
that was back in the day.
See, and how that happened was through networking. I took an
Yeah.
acting class with Josh, and then we became good friends, and we, hit it off.
So you brought him into the show.
Yeah.
Oh,
and
I love Barney.
Yeah.
There was a window about that big. I remember when I booked Barney, my kids were past the window.
Yeah.
And my little boy never looked up and went, "Oh, my agent just called. They booked Barney." And he goes, "You're not going to make us watch it, are you?"
Oh my gosh.
Little turd.
So when she they had you guys had hung out kind of like in the middle of filming, or you had ran into each other again, whatever the case was, and you were like, "Hey, this person may be interested." I'm like, "You kidding me?"
Yeah.
So we didn't think anyone was.
It would be great to get Josh on the show
Oh,
so
yeah.
he could talk
100%.
about Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah.
So if anybody's interested in voiceover, I'll see if I can't wrangle Josh to get on the.
Oh, Josh is so interesting. Dragon Ball Z isn't even like the tip of the
And he's
iceberg
the
with him.
nicest person.
Yeah, he's the
Yeah.
best.
He's so
But we didn't when we were filming that scene again. We didn't really know it was a feature film or who was going to watch it. So there's a lot in Retro Freaks. There is a lot of, I guess, inside jokes because there's just to kind of spoil one section of it. Where the characters are talking to each other and saying, "I love you," and then "You love me. We're a big happy family." But it's really just the script is writing the Barney theme song.
Yeah.
So most people will never get that. They're going to be like, "What are the writers thinking?" It's like, because that's Barney, dude. So yeah.
Hey, do we have the picture of Tiffany with Julio? I want to show this because you're a badass in this movie, aren't you? Because you're usually so. I mean, Retro Freaks was a departure because you're the grudge girl, And then in this one, aren't you a gangster?
I am, yeah. So I'm kind of like his right hand. We're the two baddies together.
And Julio, didn't he?
Julio, he also graduated from KD. I think he was one of the first of the graduating classes.
But isn't Narcos?
Yeah, he's in Narcos Mexico, which just got added to Netflix, which
That's
was really cool.
That's what I heard. Yeah.
When I had been introduced to Ryan Pauly is the director, and he's great, great local filmmaker. But he had said Julio was raving about him when we got there. He's like, "I've always wanted to work with Ryan," and he's like, "And now we're all working together." And he was so playful, and I learned so much because we talked so much on set, and he had such a great insight to just how it is, how every actor is different. You might have different scene partners, and you might have a certain feeling, and they might not be having the same feeling. You know what I'm saying? Like in the scene, the chemistry might not be there, but how to push through that. I mean, he had so much great advice.
That's great. I should get him to come to the school and talk about that. There's always this talk about tone. When you audition for a film, it's like, do some research, figure out how these people, an Adam Sandler movie feels very different than a Terrence Malick.
Sure.
Well, can you guys think of anything else? We're gonna wrap it up here. One little piece of advice you'd give to somebody starting out?
It might feel scary, but if you really love it and you just stick to it, it is so rewarding. And you meet so many amazing people. You really, really do. Doing what you love.
Yeah.
It doesn't get better than that.
I would say be prepared, to not know where your next paycheck is coming from, when that might even be. Freelancing is sometimes pretty terrifying, but like Tiffany said, it's probably the most rewarding career that I could imagine for myself. I have time to pursue the things that I like to pursue. I'm in control of my own schedule, so it's perfect.
Yeah. I've heard people say before, if you want to be an actor, go do something else. If you need to be an actor, then good luck. Okay. Is it the same for filmmakers?
Mine is nothing to it but to do it. So 1,000%. It sounds so corny, but you have to do it. You just have to start doing it.
Okay, well, guys, thank you so much for being here and sharing your wisdom and your energy and enthusiasm. Let's plug your website. Where can we find you on the internet?
So at Retro Freaks the movie is the best way because we're very concentrated on that. Right now we're in the middle of pre-production for Retro Freaks 2, but we're about to start filming it also. So in about 2 weeks, we're going to start filming that. So at Retro Freaks, the movie on Instagram is where you're going to find all the updates.
Also, Retro Freaks 1 is touring festivals right now.
Yeah.
Oh, you guys just got back from New Jersey, didn't you?
We sure
Yeah,
did.
that was fun.
Yeah, we got to chill with Kevin Smith. And again, that was a very nothing to it but to do it scenario where, if you don't put yourself out there, I mean, we willed Retro Freaks into existence.
Yeah.
We willed Kevin Smith into our life.
Yeah.
And I mean, he was amazing. They set us up. They were great hosts out there.
Yeah.
And again, we can't wait to bring our second movie to Smodcastle in Jersey.
And it begets,
Yeah.
and it begets, and it begets.
Exactly.
All right, congratulations on your success, and I look forward to attending the premiere of your next movie. Unless, of course, I'm in it.
Of course.
Oh, yeah.
See you before then.
Oh, you
Okay.
1,000% will
Yeah.
be.
All right. Well, take care, everybody, and we look forward to the next time on Creative Process.